Bitcoin, everyone wants to talk about Bitcoin like a hedge against inflation, like a safety trade, like, oh, when the Fed prints a lot of money, it's great to be in Bitcoin. And with this, it should rise. But in reality, it's treated more like a tech stock.
Okay, let's also check in on Bitcoin. We've been talking about that over the last year or so. And I remember that you have you're seeing that it will go to 20,000, maybe even below. It has not been exempt from the downward momentum this week, this month. So let's check in on that and what you're seeing there. Do you have a time horizon for that downward move?
Right now I'm predicting a short-term bounce. You could see from this is such a cool chart, and I love showing this because you basically had a scenario where if you took the high from April to the low here, all right, that distance was 100% replicated from this high to this low. And that's how you get these perfectly parallel trend lines, right? So we have a situation where on a short-term basis, you have support. We have seen Bitcoin bounce a little bit. And then very near term over the next few weeks, I think you get a move back to 40, maybe 45,000, somewhere in that vicinity. But by no means is the deleveraging in the system over, right? So at some point we come back down and we break below. When we do break below this, then I do think you break below 30,000 and you actually can easily go back to 20 or even sub 20,000. And I think it's important for investors to realize that Bitcoin, everyone wants to talk about Bitcoin like a hedge against inflation, like a safety trade, like, oh, when the Fed prints a lot of money, it's great to be in Bitcoin. And with this, it should rise. But in reality, it's treated more like a tech stock because it's in its infancy, right? It's only been around for now 13 years. In the scheme of things, that's very new. It's very, very volatile. We know that from past drops. And so you have to look back and say, okay, in 2013, when it made its high, it dropped 80%. In 2017, it dropped 80%. So what's to stop it from dropping 80% when you potentially see one of the biggest deleveragings in the system that we have ever seen, right? With the Fed seeing inflation and trying to pull back. So, considering it's already pulled back almost 50% from the all-time high in November, just imagine if the stock market deleverages and goes down 20 or 25% on the S&P 500, it shouldn't be a stretch to think that we could at least reattack the 20,000 level, which was the 2017 high. So again, I love Bitcoin long-term. I think there's real value there. I do eventually think it grows into that alternate digital gold type thing. But at this time, it was a lot of fluff. It's got a lot of spec money in it, and it has to continue to deleverage. So I do think, there is more downside after a near-term bounce here.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit more about that because I think that's a really key idea, thinking about Bitcoin as more like a tech stock than something that's akin to like gold. Because coming from, the gold perspective, we do hear things like, is it the new gold? Are they equivalent? Can you use them for the same things? And, looking at your predictions of gold going higher, Bitcoin going lower, that might be a little bit scary for people. So maybe if there's anything else you would share there.
Yeah, so I think you have to think about Bitcoin and digital currencies as a new technology, right?
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
So you have the blockchain. I liken it, and I've said this before, like think about the dot-coms. For those of you that are a little older watching this and you lived through the dot-coms, the dot-coms it was a brand new technology coming to the masses, right? I mean, I still remember it vividly. It was my very early investing career, and you could finally get online. You could go to websites. I mean, it was, dial up. It took you like 3 minutes to get online, but it was going to change the world, right? That's what everyone was saying. And they were right. They absolutely were right. The internet did change the world. But that hype led into dot-com companies coming public that should have never been public. They were being run out of their parents' basement. They had $100 million valuations. They had no revenues, no chance of ever being profitable. And then you look at what's going on with cryptocurrency, how it's a new technology. It's going to change the world. It's the digital gold. It's, being used for transactions. It's going to, revolutionize. It's the same type of chatter that was during that period. And what we know is that eventually the dot-coms got washed out and 95% of them no longer exist, right? Now, the ones that survived, like an Amazon, which dropped 95% during that collapse, I mean, it ended up thriving, right? I mean, it was $5 in 2000, 2001. It's now 33,000 and change. So there's going to be massive opportunity, but you have to let the garbage get flushed out first. And in fact, that's healthy to do, right? So again, because it's a new technology, it's being treated like a new technology company. And therefore, you're seeing spec money running it up, and also on the way down, spec money selling it and panicking on the way down. So again, 5-10 years from now, I think it starts to mature into a asset that is something that's more stable, that institutions want to hold, or corporations want to hold on their balance sheet to diversify from dollars. But at this point, it is still a new asset. People are still trying to figure out its reliance, and also there's no regulation too, right? And you have to get that regulation in to kind of coax in more investors, right? If you're 65, 70 years old, and there are some of those people that are investing in digital assets, for the most part, they're not. And I don't blame them. It's scary. Someone can, fish with a link, and they can jump in your account, steal your Bitcoin, and you have no repercussions. You don't get your money back. So the government needs to come in and make it safer, and kind of say that, okay, we're going to back this new technology, and then it'll start to do much, much better.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar, and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much, much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.